Hello, this is Ariana with Bain Group. This is part 2 of our 4-part series on creating an automated out-of-office request system. If you haven't seen part 1, I recommend you begin there. The links for the series are in the description below. In the last video, we covered project summary, technical overview, and we ran through a demo of the system. Now for the rest of the series, we're going to show you how to build a system that we demoed to you in part 1. In this video, we'll cover how to set up your SharePoint list. Let's begin. Here is a list schema for our SharePoint list. In bold, we have our column name, followed by our column type, and we have notes below that. Required fields are shown by using a red asterisk. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the list schema and the purpose of each column. So for the first item that we have on our list is a requester. So this one will identify the name of the user submitting that out-of-office request. It is then followed by the title. So this will be the title of the out-of-office request item. We then have a request type. So this is where the submitter can identify what type of request they are going to be submitting. 3 options that we have is sick time, vacation, or personal. We then follow by the start date, which will be a date column, and this will identify the beginning of the time out of office. Then it is followed by an end date column, and this will identify the end date of the time out of office that they are requesting. The next column is a requester comments. This is going to be a multiple line of text column. And here is where the requester can identify any comments that they'd like to add and responsibilities or delegations that they would like to add in this request. We will then have a manager column. So this will be a people column, and this is where the requester will identify the manager that is in charge of approving their out-of-office request system. We then have a status column, which would be a choice column, and this will identify the status that that request is in. So the 3 options that we have is pending approval, approved, or rejected. We are going to be setting this as default to pending approval. And finally, we have manager comments. This column will be a multiple line of text column, and it will be where the manager will be able to provide comments regarding the request. So first, we will go ahead and jump into SharePoint. So for today's use case, I will be using a demo environment. So once you are in SharePoint, go ahead and navigate to the site where you want to create the list. For this example, I will be using the sales and marketing site. Next, click on New and add List. Go ahead and we're going to be starting from a blank list. Then you can go ahead and name your list. For example, we will be using out of office requests. You are also able to add a description. And you can go ahead and identify whether you want it to show in the site navigation. So you can turn that off or on, and then just go ahead and click Create. So we're going to go ahead and start with the title column. So as I explained, the title column will identify the title of the request that the requester is submitting. So this one is default given to you by SharePoint, so we don't have to do anything for that one. Our next column that we need to work on is on the requester. So we are going to go ahead and click on Add Column. And this is going to be a person field. So we're going to go ahead and click Person and click Next. We're going to name this Requester. We can add a description if needed. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save. We can go ahead and name our column. So we're going to be naming our column Requester. We can add a description if needed, adding some information on what this column is about. We can then identify the type. So this is going to be a person or group type of column. You can allow selection of groups if needed, and then you can show profile picture photos if needed, but we're going to be skipping that for now. And we're going to go ahead and click Save. And our column has been created. We'll then continue to create our next column, which is request type. So I'm going to go ahead and click an add column. And then I'm going to jump over to the choice one, as this is going to be a choice column. And I'm going to click next. Same process. We're going to be naming our column. Then we're going to go ahead and click our type, which is choice, correct? And we're going to be adding our choices. So for our choices, as identified, there's going to be 3 types, but feel free to add any if needed. For this example, we're going to be adding sick time as one of the choices. Then we're going to be adding vacation as our next choice, and personal as our third choice. You can go ahead and click out, and those will go ahead and save. And then we're going to go ahead and click create save. All right, so our next column is going to be start date. So this is going to identify the beginning of the time out of office that they are requesting. So we're going to go ahead and click add a column, the same process, but this is going to be a date and time column. So we're going to go ahead and click on date and time, click next, and we're going to name it start date. We can add a description if needed. We're going to confirm that the type is date and time, and we're going to go ahead and click save. Our next column is going to be end date, so same process. Select add column. This is also going to be a date and time column, so we're going to go ahead and click next, and we're going to name this end date. We're also going to confirm that the type is date and time, and we're going to go ahead and click save. Now we will be adding our requester comments column. So this is where the requester will be able to add any information or comments regarding their out of office request. So we're going to go ahead and click add column. Because this is going to be a comment, we are going to allow multiple lines of text. So it's going to be a multiple lines of text column. We're going to go ahead and click next, and we're going to title it requester comments. Confirmation that the type is correct, multiple lines of text, and then we're going to go ahead and click save. Our next column will be manager. We're going to go ahead and click on add a column to add the manager column. And this is going to be a person column, as this is where users are going to identify who their manager is. I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm going to title it, I'm going to name it. I'm going to name it manager and confirm that the type is person or group, and click save. We will then go ahead and add our status column, which will track the status of the out of office request system. So this is going to be a choice column, and I'm going to go ahead and click next, and I'm going to title it status, confirming that this is the choice column, and now I will be adding my choices. So my first choice is going to be pending approval. My second choice is going to be approved, and my third choice will be rejected. Please feel free to add any additional choices if needed, but those will be the ones that I will be adding today. For this specific column, I will be adding a default value, and I would want it to be a pending approval. That way, anytime any new requests come in, they are set to pending approval. Now I'm going to be saving it. All right, and then for our so for our next column that we're going to be creating is going to be the manager comment. So this is where the manager will be able to add any comments regarding the out of office request. So I'm going to go ahead and add a column. And this will also be a multiple lines of text column. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And I'm going to name it manager comments. I can add a description if needed, confirm that the type is multiple lines of text, and click save. Okay, so now that we have created all the columns that we need, I'm going to go ahead and rename the created by column. So by default, SharePoint creates a created by column. Now we're going to jump over to settings, and I'm going to click on list settings. Under the columns, we're going to go ahead and look at created by. And I'm going to go ahead and rename this to creator, but you can go ahead and rename it to your desired name. Okay, and now that I have renamed it, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And here we can go ahead and review the list, make sure that all our columns are the correct type. And I can also jump back over to my list, make sure that all my columns are there. You can expand if needed to show the complete name. And I'm verified that all my columns are there. So your SharePoint list is now set up with the specified columns. During our next video, part 3 of the Out of Office Approval System, we'll be showing you how to set up the Power Automate flow. Thank you again for joining me in this tips and tricks video. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button and we will see you next time.